buffet once together, and he's had dinner with him. He's, you know, I really like players who have a great personality, also have a pretty diverse worldview. People who've done a lot of things in their life, try to explore different opportunities, tend to definitely not a narrow personality. They're very funny. Funnier than you'd think, by the way, just from like looking at it, because he's very serious when he plays.
Oh, of course, both of them are.
He's
but
a
they're
big
both very
prankster,
outgoing,
big prankster.
And very funny, you know, affable attitude. So it's going to be a Miner to start out the left lane. Surgical Goblin looking for a little bit of chip damage, but not finding it there. Aggressive Expo by Tin2 on the right side with a Tesla to support, but a Giant right on the bridge is the perfect counter. Surgical Goblin about to pulverize the siege placement. Tin2 shakes his head in frustration as he knows that he's about to get walloped on the right lane.
The big difference there was that Ice Spirit getting chopped up by the Mega Minion instead of jumping for the freeze. The difference there would have literally been hundreds upon hundreds of damage in a few more seconds to solve it. It's funny how Ice Spirit, this one elixir card, can be so pivotal in defensive combats, because besides dealing 100 damage to both the Giant and the Mega Minion, you buy 1.5 seconds, which is a multiplier of Expo's damage, a multiplier of Tesla's damage, and of course, your King Tower itself getting a few more shots in there.
Split up of guards in the back. We're going to get a chance to see our Miner chipping away at the left side. Didn't get that Expo lock that he was looking for, but it's kind of interesting that Tin was able to actually hold on that well, and Surgical Goblin has instead chosen to go for the left side tower now.
Surgical switching it up a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why, or maybe he's just kind of playing both sides, right? A center-placed Mega Minion doesn't exactly scream like, I'm going hard on the left lane. That Tesla in the middle is going to take it down. Hunter already in the back. That's a kind of a fringe card. I feel like we see it every once in a while, and it looks very good when it's played, but it's not a very popular card in the meta. You don't see it in a lot of different decks, but it definitely has found a home in Giant Beatdown and Expo decks.
Ice Spirit does get the jump, but doesn't manage to freeze the Hunter. He's going to be able to pop down that Tesla, but goes down at the same time. Surgical Goblin looking for that consistent chip damage at the left side, has been able to find it, but Tin2 setting up for an Expo at the right side, sets up the Tesla first, and there it goes. Expo is down, but it's going to meet a Giant out the right lane. What else does Surgical Goblin have here to try to get rid of this siege placement? Poison out back, and the Miner chip the tower down. Might be able to distract the Expo if the Giant had fallen, but nope, Giant One Punch Man finishes off that Expo, and will make it to the right side tower for another couple of clobbers.
1,500 damage remains on Tin2's right side tower. Now, Surgical Goblin has done something that you don't always see. Well, I guess it's a Giant Beatdown's fine, but you don't really always want to split your damage, right? He's done about half tower damage to both left and right towers, and that might come back to bite him.
Really unlucky break there for Tin2. The Mega Minion floating on it from Surgical Goblin barely breaks through the Tesla and gets a couple swipes off onto the archers. That definitely is going to leave Surgical Goblin with bleed. And you're right, Rumham, it's very difficult to balance trying to get all the damage onto one side while also taking advantage of misplays from your opponent. If you see an opening, you've got to take it, whether or not it's on, you know, the strong side or the weak side. Surgical Goblin not making a big commitment just yet. He's holding on to that Giant to respond to the next Expo, but has definitely been able to chip that left side way further down than you might expect as we go into overtime now.
Both Tesla towers conveniently placed outside the poison, like perfectly placed outside the poison.
Yeah.
So they are not going down and are able to shoot the Giant down. Now, the Expo did get a clear shot, but it just had so little health left. Another one comes down. Giant does come back in cycle, and it will block this next Expo. Tin2 is really struggling to put damage on Surge's towers.
You'll notice that Surgical Goblin is actually a little bit behind in Elixir before this exchange started, but Giant is just such a reliable counter to the Expo. It's been very difficult for Tin to get much of a connection at all. Miner out the back right, so that Surgical Goblin is once again willing to play either lane as necessary to get the victory here. 2 minutes in overtime should be plenty of time for him to continue this line of attack. We'll see if Tin2 manages to get a lucky break with an Expo connection, or if he just continues to get whittled down at the right side.
The reason for this is that Expo is a very all-in card. Like, a single locked-on Expo can absolutely ruin you. Like, it will completely kill your tower and you lose the game, right? Now, Surgical Goblin knows that if given enough time, he'll eventually just Miner poison you to death, and he doesn't have to go too strong. He's got another 90 seconds of double elixir time. Whether Expo goes on the left or right, it's only setting yourself up for a pretty decent poison. It's not gonna take too much to grind these towers down.
Cycling through another Expo push out the left lane. There's just no way that it's going to get through this giant in time. And Miner over to the right side, though, is uncontested. 10-2 starts taking a lot more chip damage and gives the good game. He knows that he's just one more spell cycle away from the loss. Miner and Log will get it done, and we are just ticking time away. 10-2 has been finished off. Surgical Goblin with the 1-0 in this first game, but it's not over. Of preparation in events of this caliber, you know, it may seem like a pretty easy, just pick your favorite 8 cards and get ready to rumble, but there's a lot of mind games that go into preparing and choosing which deck to bring against every opponent that you're up against, and even within the individual games against certain opponents. What do they like to start with? What do they like to finish up with? Looks like we're going to see another Expo play from 10-2, though. He's got both Archers and Tesla already.
I think there might be this feeling that when you're going up against the best players in the world, you just need to play the decks you're best at. If you try to get clever and play a deck that you're not as familiar with, you're just going to make almost amateur level mistakes that are going to cost you the game anyways. So if going up against, I mean, debatably the world's best player in Surgical Goblin, just do what you're best at. You're one of the best Expo players, just stick with Expo and hope to outplay matchups.
Extremely defensive Tesla setup right next to that right side tower. 10-2 seemed to be a little bit concerned about that Mega Minion that was coming on in. Manages to deal with it, though, and finishes off the E-Wiz out back. So decent trades there, not really having to worry too much about the attack out the right lane, but not getting very much damage in from himself. Maybe he's thinking that double elixir time would play better to his skills and to the deck that he's chosen here. Once again, an Expo deck up against what appears to be maybe a P.E.K.K.A control deck. We haven't seen the full 8 cards here yet so far, but it's some relatively quick bridge spam elements in the first couple of minutes before we get into double elixir time here. We'll see what Surgical Goblin can bring out if he's got the big guns to deal with an Expo on the back end.
I also haven't seen a Bandit in this list. Yesterday we saw a bit of bridge spam, right? We saw some Royal Ghost, Battle Ram, Bandit, Dark Prince sometimes combined. It could be a deck in that style where you're meant to just pressure from the bridge, but you're right, those last 2 cards, we don't know what they are, and that could really define them. I mean, theoretically, honestly, that could be like Pump and Golem, and that would still kind of make sense to me as a deck, right? But I'm sure it's not, but like...
Yeah. I mean, I would put money down that says that 10-2's running Expo and has just been trying to find an opening for it, and as soon as he gets that Expo down, it's going to be a P.E.K.K.A on. Well, there.
You did get the read.
I'm now commentating as it's happening instead of making a prediction. But
you went from color to play-by-play in real time.
Left side's going to be a defensive P.E.K.K.A trying to get rid of this Expo. Looks like the Royal Ghost gets the connection, though. Swipes it down, and that's going to be another push out the left side for 10-2.
Ice Spirit so hard to use against Royal Ghost. Royal Ghost's invisibility means that he gets the first swing on the Ice Spirit and he kills it. So unfortunately, Ice Spirit cannot be used to freeze Royal Ghost until like that he's already popped out first, or if you can freeze something near him.
This is a really tricky matchup for 10-2. He's got to make sure that he finds an opening where Surgical Goblin doesn't have too much elixir on hand to be able to deal with the Expo. Because the Expo is a great setup. It can tear a tower down in one single push if your opponent is flat-footed and doesn't have the right response to it. Surgical Goblin should never be expected to play a P.E.K.K.A as long as the Expo is still in 10-2's hand. So we're definitely going to see a lot of reactive gameplay here with neither player really making much of a commitment until they notice a weakness by their opponent.
This might be Surgical's opening, and he's taking advantage of it. 10-2 used a fireball on the tower, meant to hit the Mega Minion, missed the Mega Minion because the shadow is sometimes hard to catch. And that gave Surgical Goblin an opening to go in on the left side as well. Drops to 10-2. His insane defense holds on. All 4 towers still sitting above 2,200 health. This could go to a draw simply because both players are playing hardcore defensive decks and neither are willing to give the other one an opportunity.
That's right, a very rare matchup to see these guys play for 6 minutes, but it's really testament to the skills that they're able to put on display here. The fact that they can go this long without dropping either of their towers shows that they're very tuned in, that they're very careful. But look out! Tesla in the center here is not able to catch this Battle Ram, and Ice Spirit at the last second is able to get the Battle Ram off tower. Log knocks them all back, but that's still a nice little bit of connection out there for Surgical Goblin, earning about 800 damage overall. If he gets another inroad like that, he might have a chance to take 10-2 down. A little bit of an off-center Tesla out back was the dangerous play that opened up that response from Surgical Goblin.
And you might wonder, like, oh, you just hit the King Tower, is that a bad thing? In Expo decks, it kind of doesn't matter. You're never going to be playing troops on their side of the board. You're never going to be getting that close to the King Tower attacks. The Expo can, of course, shoot from your side of the board. So I think that was just a completely fine, safe move by Tin 2.
On the other hand, though, activating Tin 2's King Tower was not at all what Surgical Goblin wanted there. I think that might have actually been a rare misplay from the player from the Netherlands here representing Team Liquid. Left side down to 12:08. And Surgical Goblin has kind of shut himself out from being able to get any more easy chip damage at the left side. Now, he still might be able to get a massive attack on one of these lanes, but only time will tell what he'll be able to bring in. P.E.K.K.A. is going to get stopped short by some skeletons, but a quick zap gives Surgical Goblin the opening that he needs to finish off that Tesla, and there's just not enough damage output on Tin 2's side to be able to finish off the remainder of this attack. But look out, left lane's already got an Ice Spirit and a Battle Ram moving on in. A cheap 3 for 5 counter on defense means that Tin 2 has still got a little bit to worry about out there. He finally adds in the 5th elixir to stop that push. Evened up, but Surgical Goblin gaining the elixir lead now, sends in a Mega Minion down the left lane. Only 35 seconds left though, Rumham.
Let me take a quick moment to talk about our draw rules. If this goes for 30 more seconds and into what is a draw, it will simply stand as a draw. We go to game 3, and if at the end of game 3 we still do not have a clear match winner, then we go to a game 4 with sudden death tiebreaker
A
rules.
4th and final game, that's right. So if we have 2 draws in a row, the 4th game will be the deciding game. Even if it's a 1-0 lead for one player, it will just all come down to that 4th game. And it's the tower that has the lowest hit points that will be declared the loser. The round of 8, that's where they start to make the money in this event. It's going to be a good luck from Surge, and Tin 2 gives the thumbs up.
So many other great matches going on. Only one other result that I can see so far. Azucini has defeated Trainer Rubens in 3 games to advance to the top 8. So we have 2 of the top 8 already decided. Trainer Chris that we saw in the last match, Azucini, which has already been played, and it looks like some of the other matches are either still going on or waiting for their moment on the big stage.
Expo at the right lane, and he might have a pretty good matchup here against the Lava Hound deck brought by Surgical Goblin. It's going to be a nice connection for this Expo early on, and that's about 500 damage shipped off the right side. Even more as it continues to go down. That balloon death damage not quite taking that Expo out as quickly as Surgical Goblin may have hoped. Now it's a half health Lava Hound crossing the bridge with a Mega Minion to support. What's going to happen here, Rumham?
Well, this is going to be an interesting matchup as it plays out because Lava Hound versus Expo is an interesting matchup. Some people swear the Lava Loon deck is favored, others swear the Expo deck is favored. But here's how I think it's going to break down. If they take out the towers in the same lane and it goes into overtime with 2 towers down, if it's the same lane, the Expo deck's going to win. If they're opposite lanes, the Lava Loon deck is going to win. If it's only a 1-0 game, I kind of think it's Expo, but I bet that in double elixir time, the Lava Loon deck will be able to take a tower. The question is, which tower do each of them take?
That's right. I'd give the 60-40 split in favor of Tin 2 for this matchup. I think that the Lava Hound deck can get a victory off the Expo if you're careful enough, but it's really hard to be able to pull off a win when there's just hardly any ways for the Lava Hound deck to be able to block the Expo in the first place. You might be able to take it down, but if it's already gotten 500, 800 damage off your tower, then what's the point of it? Right side for Surgical Goblin, pretty close to half hit points now as Tin 2 pulls ahead. They're both about to hit 10 elixir, and playing same lane, Tin 2 will send in Skellies to support this Expo on the right side.
To elaborate, if you're the Expo player, this is exactly what you want, right? You want the Lava Hound played in the same lane so you can just immediately Expo at the bridge and shoot under it. This is exactly what Tin 2 wants. Now imagine if it was the other lane though. Pretend that like one tower was down on either corner. What would happen then is you had to Expo the second tower. The Lava Loon player could drop a balloon directly on top of your Expo and you never get anywhere, right? So I think that worked out really well for Tin 2.
This is going to be a really big push from Surgical Goblin. No blocks for the balloon out the right side. He gets the first drop and the second one is good. That's a 1-1 draw. Now we are going into overtime. 30 seconds left before that begins. But at double elixir time, the pushes are bigger. The attacks are even meaner. Surgical Goblin and Tin 2 will be playing left lane to see who can get the next tower down first.
And here comes the balloon. It has to cross the river. Ice Spirit comes down, gets the jump, and freezes it. That buys a little bit of time to lock onto that tower. One balloon drop comes in. Second balloon drop is going to finish it off. But 1896 on Surgical Goblin's tower, a 700 damage advantage for Tin 2 on the left lane.
Great placement and timing by Tin 2 with that Tesla in the center there. He has to play it really far back because he knows that Surgical Goblin can just drop in a troop on his side of the map now that he's lost a tower over on the right side. He plays the Tesla way far back and doesn't even take any of the death damage from the balloon. Guards out the right side are able to block a little bit of the damage from the Expo, but the big bomb drop from the balloon wipes that out. Tin 2 with the damage lead now, about 800 ahead of Surgical Goblin. Let's see if he can keep that pressure up.
You know, Ice Spirit used to freeze for 2 seconds instead of 1.5. That would have been a pretty big difference there. That extra half second of stun would have bought a little bit more damage on the Expo, for the Expo on the tower.
Yep. And bit by bit, 10-2 finds little tiny connections here. Left side now down to 1494 for Surgical Goblin. Tesla on defense once again, coming in clutch, just out of death damage range for that balloon. That left side tower is still untouched from him.
So here's what Surgical Goblin's doing. You cannot play Lava Hound. If you play Lava Hound, you'll lose the game. You're gonna have to, oh, there he goes. So the reason why, okay, you can't play Lava Hound first, is what I was meant to say. He's trying to play the support troops in the back, the Tombstone, the Mega Minion to build up, so he can drop Lava Hound at the river
Oh my
to
God.
back it all up.
Super aggressive Expo. I'm not even sure if it got value there. The balloon wallops it very quickly, and it's going to move in for the counterattack. 10-2 low on response, but he manages to get the fireball off just in time. That will be death damage on the tower. 10-2 way behind on Elixir now, though. He kind of threw away an Expo there, unfortunately. Surgical Goblin gets the opening now to try to counterattack with a Tombstone out in front to block for any potential Expo plays.
Right.
It's a Tesla on defense for 10-2.
So I'd expect to see another replay of what we saw. Tombstone comes down first, Mega Minion second, Balloon third. Lava Hound's going to come out in front of this Mega Minion to push this lane. You don't want to cast Lava Hound until you already have a big push going.
Throws away the Ice Golem into the opposite lane. Not sure what he was thinking there. We do see guards coming on in, but this Expo is about to get destroyed.
Oh, no!
Balloon destroy, takes it out so quickly. Fireball not going to be enough to push this attack off, and the Balloon making it to the tower means that Surgical Goblin has got the win. Thumbs up from the Team Liquid player, crushing 10-2 in this third game of the best of 3 set. It's a 2-0 total. Team Liquid will advance to the round of 8.
And that is why Surgical Goblin is considered one of the tippy-toppy S-tier players in the world, because no matter what the matchup is, he knows what you have to do.